Hi, hi everyone. Salesforce Development Day 17. We'll quickly go through the previous session overview and then we'll start data types. Within the data types, today we are talking about the sObject data type. And in the sObject data type, how to create a new sObject data type, collection data type. We'll see the collection data type. And in the collection data type, we'll talk about the list in collection, list methods, and then set in collection, set methods, and we'll have a homework. So that's about it. So what did we learn in last session? Different primitive data types, right? Long, double, string, date methods, date type methods, and then we have seen the boolean, primitive data type boolean, and then we have seen the ID and the differences between the decimal and double we have seen. Right, so yesterday we have completed the primitive data types, understanding the primitive data types. Now we have a few more data types in the Salesforce. So total 4 data types are there: primitive data type, sObject data type, collection data type, enumeration data type. So yesterday we have completed the primitive data type. Now today we are going to talk about the sObject data type. What is the sObject? What is sObject?
Standard object.
What is S?
Salesforce object.
Salesforce object.
It's a Salesforce object, could be a custom object, could be a standard object. So sObject is nothing but a Salesforce specific data type, holds the standard as well as the custom objects. Now, if I wanted to create a custom Salesforce object or a sObject, if we want to create a sObject, we will go to the object manager. We'll go to the object manager, click on a setup. And then object manager. Here we have a, if I wanted to create, I'll click on a create button and click on the custom object. This is the configuration keys, how we create in the admin. But from the development, if I wanted to create a new sObject, that means new custom object or a new Salesforce object. If I wanted to create it from the development, how can we do it? So syntax is sObject name variable. sObject name variable. So that means example account ACC or contact. So here this is the object name. This is object name. Account is the existing object. In this object, I am initializing a variable here. Right? So for example, within this object, if I wanted to create a new record, within this object, if I wanted to create a new record, right? So contact is the sObject, con is the variable. Similarly, we have a case is the sObject, cs is the variable. Similarly, if I have a custom object, student underscore c is the custom object and st is the variable name. Now, once we create a custom object, now we will go here and we'll click on this either custom object or a standard object. We'll click on this and then we'll click on the new button. Right, this is how we create a record in the Salesforce. This is how we create a record in the Salesforce. Right, if I click on a new button, it will open up the button. Now, right now, new button is overwritten here. Now, let's go ahead and see contact. Let me open the contact. Now contacts, in the contacts, click on a new button. When I click on a new button, this is the screen that opens. Now I can enter the mandatory information and click on a save button. Right, so this is how we are creating the record from the admin. But same thing, if I wanted to do it from the development, we have to go with the initializing the sObject name and the variable name. Now let's see sObject name and variable name. Now if I declare that like this is a sObject name and this is the variable name. Now what will happen if I declare this? I'm not creating any new record, I'm just initializing it here. Just I'm creating a null value here. Now let me show you that. Now for example, I'm saying here account is the object ACC. Account object, and then we have a contact on, and what else we have? We have a hiring manager. HM, and also we have a position object, position underscore C, position. Right now, if I try to execute this, highlight this, execute the highlighted one, hiring manager is not there. Right, this is the hiring manager. Now click on the execute. Now, when I execute it, what I'm doing here right now is I'm defining this sObject here, and then I'm specifying the variable. I'm specifying the variable. So this is just a object declaration. Object declaration in the Salesforce. Now, if I do this, right? So if I print the ACC, what will I'll get? It's a variables are assigned null. ACC is null, contact is null, HM is null, position is null. That means when I declare like this, it will go to the database. In the database, it will create a space for ACC, right? A space for con and space for HM, space for position. There is a space gets created. But what is the value is there here? Value is null. Value is null within this. There is nothing is there. Right now it is just created the space. Right now it just created the space. Now this is just to create a space within the database. Now we just have a created the variable, and the variable is there is no value is assigned to this. So that's the reason it is taken the null. So that means ACC is there. ACC, there is a space allocated, right? There is a space is allocated, and within this, I do not have anything empty, which is nothing but a null, which is nothing but null value. There is nothing is available. Right, so heap allocated here bytes 3, 152, 408, 408, 48, 6. Right, these are the allocation, but there is nothing is available there. Nothing is available. Now this is just a creation of a temporary space in the database or in the storage. In the storage, I wanted to create a temporary space for this. If you want to create a temporary space, we can use the like this, creating the account ACC. Now, let's see how to create a record. Now, I know what will happen if I say account AC. That means there is a temporary space is created in the storage. But if I wanted to create a new, if I wanted to create a new record, I wanted to create a new record. For example, I wanted to create a new record in the contact. Now, if I wanted to create a new record in the contact, I'll click on this new button. I'll click on the new button. If I click on the new button, so what will happen? I can enter all the details. I can enter all the details here and click on the save. Click on save button. Right. So here the contact is there. Now, if I wanted to create a contact record, if I wanted to create a contact record from the development, two ways we can do it in the development. Two ways we can do. First way is account A equal to, account is the object. Account is the object. This is sObject and I'm declaring a variable. I'm declaring a variable. This is the variable name. This is variable name. So account A equal to, I'm initializing the new here. I'm creating the new record. This is new record. I'm creating the new record. And then after that, we have a object name. After that, we have a object name. In the open bracket, close bracket, within that, we have to pass the field. This is the name is the field, account name. API name of the account name is the name equal to ACC1. And the rating is another field inside the account equal to 1. So similar like if I go to the record. So here I'm specifying the name. And in the account, we will specify the name and the rating. Click on a save button. Right? Only two values I'm entering. In account also, we have a account and ratings are there. If I open up the existing record, assume that I'm creating the new record. And when I create a new record, I can just enter the account name. Whatever the account name is there, that account name I can enter and the rating I can enter. So only two values I'm entering on and clicking on the save button and clicking on the save button. So in that case, what we can do is like I'm creating the, if I wanted to create it from the development, I can use the account A equal to new account of name equal to ACC1, comma, rating equal to 1. Right? You can specify that. Now let's go to the developer console. Now in the developer console, let's say I'm going to create a contact. I'm going to create a contact. So let's say here, let me open the contact record. Contact, click on the contact. Now, when I click on the contact object and click on the new button, what are the mandatory information? Last name is mandatory, right? So last name we can take it and also we can take the last name. What is the API name of the last name? Let's go ahead here. I'm going to create a sObject record. Create a record in contact object. I'm creating a record in the contact object. Contact in the create a record in contact object. Let's say I'm going to say here contact. This is my, I'm going to create a record in the contact object. And contact is the sObject and CN equal to. CN equal to, I'm creating the new record. So I need to initialize the new and then I specify here contact within this contact. Within this contact, let's say here I'm going to specify the last name. Last name equal to. Last name equal to, let's say the month, right? Let's say first name equal to comma, last name equal to Shukla, and then I'll specify the phone. So what is the API name of the phone? Let's see. Phone. It's a phone. So let's take the phone. Phone equal to, I'm specifying some number here. Right, so this is, I'm executing it. Now let me execute it. Execute the highlighted one. It has a first name Aman, last name Shikla, and the phone number. It is created. But will the record is created in Salesforce? Will the record is created in the Salesforce? Now, if I go to the contact, now if I refresh, here, let's say, if I am going to say all the records, right, all the contacts, let's say all the contacts. If I say all the contacts, now here, the person is, I'm not able to see the person name, right? It starts with A, I cannot see the record. Now what is happening here? I'm creating the record. I'm creating the record. Now there is a values are assigned here. Before it was variable was not assigned. Now we are assigning the variable. Now we are assigning the variable. Like first name equal to Aman, last name equal to Shukla, and then phone number equal to this is the phone number. Variables are assigning it. But what is happening here is before it is going into the database, in the database, I have a account record, account object, right? I have a account object. In this object, we have a, sorry, contact object. We have a, in this, we have a contact records, right? This is one table. Contact table is there within the database. Now, in order to insert the data within this table, in order to insert the data within this table, now what should be doing it? I have created the record. I am initializing the record, right? I am initializing the information here. I am initializing the first name, last name, phone number, and phone number are the details. But if I wanted to insert within this object, then I need a ID. I have a first name, I have a last name, I have a phone number, all the details are available, but it's not yet generated the ID. This is not yet generated the ID. The values are there, but it is not yet inserted. There is a in between this. We have a business logic, right? So this is the assume that this is the user interface or the developer is running the logic here. From this logic, whenever they run the logic, it has to go through the certain process. Now, if you say here, okay, this is perfectly created the record inside the Salesforce. If it is created the record, if there are no errors, then it will go and create a record within the contact. In case there is any error, it will return back to us. In case if there is any error, it will return back to the either user on the user interface or a developer. Right? So in between, we have a layer here before inserting the data inside this. Now this layer says that, okay, data is available. Data is there. First name, you have assigned the values to the variable, but this is not yet created inside the Salesforce. The logic is not yet created inside the Salesforce. In order to do that, we have a something called DML operation. I need to perform a DML operation. What is DML operation? Either you need to insert a record, that means create a record, create or a update or delete, right? So anything you can do it using the DML operation. So once we initialize this, I need to create a DML operation. When I create a DML operation, observe this in the debug log, we have a something called DML statements. DML statements. Right now, number of DML statements are 0 out of 150. 0 out of 150. Now that means I have not yet done anything. I just created the template. This is just a template. This is just a template. This is just a template. But this template has to be inserted in somewhere. Right? That logic developer has not written. That logic developer has not written. Now, in order to write that logic, what I'll be doing is I'm creating the DML. So I'll say here insert CN. Insert CN. Now let me execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Execute the highlighted one. Now the log is created. Now if you see here, there is a CN is done. Now the record is created. Now let me show you that. Now how can I say record is created? If you look at the DML, now here it is duplicate rules are executed. Before duplicate rules were not executed. After this variable assignment, now after this variable assignment, we have a something logic got executed, right? And then if you see the number of DML statements are out of this, out of 150, it executed the one DML statement. Number of statements, 1. That means how many statements got executed? 1. How many rows are executed? 1. So statement is nothing but how many times you have written the DML statement inside this. You have written only one time. You have written only one time. So limit for the DML statement is 150. Take a notes of it. Garner limits DML statement for number of DML statements are 150 and number of DML rows created is 10,000. Number of DML statements is 10,000. Garner limits on DML. Right, so DML statements is 150 and DML rows created. Number of DML rows created is 10,000. 10,000. Now, out of this number of DML statement, 150, out of 150, we just written the only one statement. And how many rows got executed? Only one row got executed. Now, let me refresh this. Here contact, now there is a Aman Shukla is created inside the object. There is a record is created from the object in the contact object. Who has created? Developer has created it from the anonymous window. Now let me show you how the record looks like before the insert and after the insert. Now if I say system.debug before the insert, I'm doing the system.debug. I'll say here before insert. Before inserting the record. Let's say here plus ACC. Now after inserting the record. Now DML statement, then we have a after inserting the record. After inserting the record, Now let's see. Let's execute this highlight. Execute the highlighted one. Now duplicate record detected. Now let's say here 1. The duplicate rules are getting executed. Click on the execute highlighted one. Change the phone number. Let's execute the highlighted. Now, if I see the debug, before insert, the values are first name, last name, and phone number. This is the before insert. Before insert, I'm assigning the value to variable, but it is not yet created inside the contact object. But once I say DML operation after insert, there is a first name, last name, phone number. Along with that, there is a ID got generated. Along with that, ID got generated. That means right now, inside this table, I have a contact table. Inside the contact label, now first it will insert the ID, and then along with this particular ID, whatever the values are there, all the values get inserted into the contact table. So that when the user goes to the here contact object, they can able to see the record. If I am trying to open that record, what will happen? It will database and it will show us the information in the user interface. Now that's about the sObject. That's about the sObject. And the second type of the creation of sObject. Few developers will directly create like this. Few developers will go with the type 2, scenario 2. Now in scenario 2, how they are going to do? They will initialize the account ACC2 equal to new account. This is, I'm not specifying the fields inside this bracket. I'm not specifying any fields inside this. I'm just initializing it here. Now once I initialize it, then I can reference this variable name ACC dot, variable name ACC dot, and then I can specify the name equal to whatever the name of it. Now here name equal to ACC1 directly I said. But right now I'm not specifying anything here. Instead of specifying here, now what I'll do is I'll bring this into the ACC2 dot name equal to Rekha, and then ACC2 dot rating equal to warm. Right? So these are the second way of declaration. This is second way of declaration. Now let me show you that. Now this is the type 1 and the second way is type 2. Type 2. Type 2 is, I'll use the contact CN equal to new contact. New contact. This is normal object declaration or initialization. Now here I'm going to take, now I'm going to assign the values to the field. CN dot, I'm going to take first name, CN dot first name equal to, let's say, Dikshit. In the end, it has to be a colon, CN dot last name equal to Dinesh, and then CN dot phone number. CN dot phone, and I'll specify some phone number here. And then I'm going to insert CN. Insert CN. This is the DML. This is the initialization. And this is what I'm doing. I'm assigning the values to variable. Assigning the values to the variable. Assigning the values to the variable. Right now, the next one is I'm doing the DML operation. This is the DML operation. Now let me execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Now let's scroll down. Now the record is created. DML statement is 1 and DML rows 1. Now one record is created inside the contact Now let's open the contact. Now let's click on all contacts. Now we have it, Dinesh. Right, it is created the today. So that is the second way of implementing the record. Now similarly, if it is a custom object, we'll go for a custom object student underscore C. Now I'll have a variable equal to new statement, and then I'll be specifying the name, age, what are the fields are available in the custom object, specify all those names equal to assign the value. And type 2 is you first initialize it, then assign the values to the variable, then you can do the insert. Take a notes of it. Take a next one also. Yes, it is similar to the Java. In execution log, what is the code beside the name? What do you mean by? Okay, let's take the notes, then we will talk about all the questions. Yes, you can create another one also. You can create another one. So for example, right now I have created the student object st2, right? If I wanted to create another record I wanted to create. So you can create another one, but only the thing is that what you need to make sure is you need to create a, because it's a duplicate variable, right? Now let me show you that. Take a notes of this custom. Done. Taking the notes of it. Okay. So now let me go ahead. Now, for example, if you wanted to create a multiple records, right? Now, there is a multiple ways to do it, but right now, just whatever we are in right now, I'm just using the same thing. Now, if I wanted to create another one, now create here, I'm creating the another record. So let's say here, first name Mark, let's say David, and phone number is some phone number, similarly Rose, Pat. And this is the another phone number. Now I am creating the two records. But what if I execute this? What will happen? It will give me error. If I try to execute this, it will give me error because there is a duplicate field here, CN. So if you are creating the multiple records, just specify the each time the variable has to be a unique. If you have already taken the CN, take the CN1 or take a different variable. So every time whenever you are initializing it or creating it, your variable has to be a unique. Your variable has to be a unique. Now I'm creating the two records. Click on execute. Now the two records are created. Now if I go to the contact, now I can see the two records are created. One is Mark David and the Bruce Pat. Right? Two records are created. So you can create a multiple records. Multiple records. Now this time DML operation. How many times I have written the statement? Statement I have written the two times. Statement I have written the two times. Now DML rows are two rows are executed. Now here is the number of DML statements are 2 out of 150. Number of DML rows are 2 out of 10,000. Number of DML rows are 2 out of 10,000. Now this time I did it 2 times I have written the statement and 2 records are created. 2 records are created. Is that clear, Srivali?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is your question, Suman? What do you mean by what is the code? Where is the code that is written? In execution log. Now, this one, if you are talking about the first name rows, whatever this is there, that is the inside the database. You need not worry about that. It's just a Salesforce reference. It's just a Salesforce reference. If they are storing into a particular database, there is some unique ID Salesforce is generating it. For that, they are using the variable assignment. There is one variable that they are creating it. You need not to worry about that one. You need not to worry about that one. So this is a for field creation. They are just using some unique ID, right? So this is for the any field creation. They will be using the 0x, which is take it as a binary code or something. Binary format the code is. So let's move. Any other questions on the sObject? Okay, now let's move on. So far, whatever we have done is single field declaration. Single field declaration. What I mean by single field declaration is if I wanted to declare the integer, I have used the integer, right? Now let's say integer num num equal to, I'm specifying here some 45. Or if I wanted to declare another integer, I'm declaring the num1 equal to some 45. Like this, I'm declaring this multiple times because I wanted to initialize the multiple integer variable. I wanted to declare it and I wanted to assign the values to the multiple. Now, instead of declaring this multiple times, cannot I use 34 comma 45 comma, right, 34 comma, right, and the 45 comma 34 comma 46, whatever it is, that instead of declaring this every time integer num1, integer num2, I simply declare the integer num equal to 34 45, 34 45, 34 56, whatever the numbers are there, all the numbers it should be automatically taken. Now, will it be accepted? It will not be accepted. For example, I want to take the string student names. Now, all the student names I wanted to declare it here. All the student name I wanted to declare it here. Abhijit, right? And then Akila, and then Aman. So everybody's name I wanted to declare it in the single one. Instead of declaring it multiple times, can I declare it this? Can I declare it in single shot? Where it should take all the student names, which is not possible with the single declaration because this integer or a string, these all are a single variable hold. It will hold only the single variable. It does not hold the multiple values. It does not hold the multiple values. The flexibility of the integer or a string, any of the primitive data type is the concept is to hold a single value. So if you want to hold the single value, then only we can use the primitive data type. All the primitive data types are used to hold the single value. All the primitive data types are used to hold. The purpose of the primitive data type is if I wanted to store any of the data single value, if I wanted to store it into the integer, I can store it here. Right? So which is integer num. Now this is the value that we have it. This is the value. Like this, I cannot store it. I can store only the single value within the primitive data type. But in case if I wanted to store the collection of or array or a object or a collection of or a list of the information, if I wanted to store collection of information where it contains the multiple values, in case if I wanted to store the collection of information in the Apex, how can we do it? So we have a concept called collection data type. The next one is a collection data type. So collection is used to store the multiple data or a value of the same data type. Collection is used to store multiple data or value of the same data types And collection is also called as a array in other language like a Java or JavaScript. We have a arrays, right? Similarly, here we call it as a collection. In other language, we call it as a array. In Salesforce, we call it as a collection. Now, collection data type holds the more than one value or more than one data. Now, in Salesforce, in Apex, collection is divided into the three types: list collection, set collection, map collection. So collection is divided into the three types. First one is a list, set and map. List, set and map. Take a notes of it. Okay. Now let's move on. List. Let's see the first one, which is called as a list in collection. The first type is in the collection is list. Now list is as the word it says list. As the word it says list. List is nothing but it can hold the any type of data more than one. It can hold the collection of information which is any type of value. Any type of value can be held as a collection. A list can hold any type of data and is one of the most important type in the collection in the real time. In the real time, we mostly use the collections, list, set, map, right? List is, we use it every time whenever we write a logic. We'll see going further how we will use it, list. But list is the most important one in the collection which can hold the any type of data. Which can hold any type of data. When I say any type of data, could be a primitive data, could be a sObject data, any type of data. So we have it. So far we have discussed about the primitive data and sObject data. So list can hold the primitive data type, and also it can hold the sObject. Also it can hold the sObject data. sObject data type also can be stored inside the list. List is basically, it represents collection of elements with duplicate values. List holds the duplicate values. List holds the duplicate values. When I say duplicate values is nothing but, now you have a name is already there. Now for example, student name is, let's take student name is Neeraj, which is already there. Now again, one more time I am inserting the Neeraj. One time I am inserting the Neeraj. Again, one more time I am inserting the Neeraj. So basically, if you are inserting 100 times the same student name, list will take 100 times the same name it will take. Same name it will take. So that means list is can hold the duplicate values also. It doesn't care whether this value is already present or not. It does not check. Whatever you are giving, whatever the developers are providing the values to the list, it blindly take those values. It blindly take those values. Now a list is a ordered collection of primitive sObject or collection itself. It can also hold the collection itself. It can, as we discussed, list can hold the primitive, list can hold the sObject, also list can hold the collection itself. We will see that. Now, and whatever the data or the values which we are providing it, list is a ordered collection. It will take ordered collection. Now, whatever the way you have provided, it will take in that order. Now, features of the list collection in Salesforce. In a list collection, the index position is always starts with the first entry is always 0. When I say always 0, now whenever I'm inserting the data within the specific variable, I'm inserting the data within the specific variable, now here we are inserting the list of information will be stored here, right? I'm storing the student names, right? So what are the student names or a city names? And here I'm storing the city name Hyderabad, Chennai, Cochin, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune. Like this, I'm storing it. Now, whatever the first one is called, these are the indexes. This is the index. The first index position is always starts with a 0. Index position is always starts with a 0. 0th index is a Hyderabad. First index is a Cochin. Second index is a Chennai. Third index is Mumbai. Fourth index is Delhi. Fifth index is Pune. Like this, it will be starting with 0. Always the list collection The index position always starts with 0. Index position is always starts with 0. And another feature of this list collection is the data type can be a primitive data type, can be a non-primitive data type. Both we have primitive, non-primitive. And it will also accept the duplicate values. It also accept the null values. Even null values also it can accept. That means I can just provide the null value. I can, while declaring the list, I can just say that this is the null. So that null will be inserted in the 6th index. And again, 7th index, I can have another city name. Let's say it is, let's say it is a Vizag. Right, 6th one is a blank or a null value. 7th one is a Vizag. So like this, all the city names will be there. So list will accept the duplicate values. It also accepts the null values. And the syntax for the list is, it always starts with the list less than this. You have to provide the data types. You have to provide the data types and the list name equal to new list data type. New list data type, and within that we have a bracket. Now here data type, either you can declare it like this or you can declare it data type, square brackets, open and close, whatever the list name is there provided. The first one is you are initializing the list. This is the list. We start with less than data type. Could be a primitive data type, could be a sObject data type, could be a collection itself, Some data type will be here. And name of the variable, and you are initializing the list. So when we are initializing it, we have to always use the new and then list less than data type. Whatever the data type is there, the same data type we have to provide it, open, close, semicolon. Either you can declare it this way or else you can first specify the data type. Whether it could be a primitive data type, whether it could be a sObject data type, whether it could be a collection itself. And then you need to provide the list here, the square brackets. When you say square bracket is nothing but a list. When you say square brackets is nothing but a list. And this is the variable name. This is variable name. Take a notes of it. Done. Okay, so next, now this is, for example, data type. I'm taking it as a string data type. Now list of string student names equal to new list of a string. New list of string. Now here, whatever this list is there, this is a list reserved key. This is list reserved key. That means this is the list is a standard keyword that is provided by the Salesforce. And after that we have a string is the data type. String is data type, and then we have a variable name, and new is a reserved keyword. New is specifies that we are creating the new instance or a new record. Now whenever we create like this, so what will happen? It creates the space within the storage. Inside this, we have a based on the what are the values we are assigning it. Now if I assign the four student names, if I'm assigning the four student names, then it will divide this space into the four student names where it can store the 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. If I'm creating the 5 students, if I'm creating the 5 students, it will divide it to store the 5 students 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it always starts with based on how the values you are providing it. Based on that, it is going to store the values into the in that space, and it starts with a 0 index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that, based on the values, what are the values that we are providing it, we can provide it. Or else you can provide the how many indexes you want. You can specify the index, those many indexes by default. Whenever it is creating the space into the storage, it will create it. Those many indexes space, it will create it. Take a notes of it, then we will see the scenarios. Now let's go ahead and create a collection. Right now we are inside the collection. We are looking for list. The syntax for the list is list data types and then we have to specify the variable name equal to keyword is a new, and then we have to use the list data types and open close. This is the generic syntax for the list. Let's assume I wanted to declare the student names. I wanted to declare the student names. Write a logic to store collection of student names. Collection of student names. Now first I need to declare the list. Student names are string, so the data type is string here. Now, student name equal to new list of string, new list of string. Right, this is the declaration. Declaration is done. Right now, if I print this system.debug, system.debug, I'm going to print the student names. Student names. Execute this highlighted. Now it is created the student names. The array it is created inside the Salesforce. Inside the Salesforce, the array, the box array which is created here. The box which is array is created. That means right now I have a list, right? I have a list. The student names list is there in the storage, which is a empty array, which is empty array. Right now it is created the empty array. So that means I do not have anything inside this. I do not have anything inside this. Now let's assume that I wanted to store within this. Now there are two ways of assigning the values to this variable. There are two ways we can assign it. The first way is type 1 is directly I can say here list of string, right, and then s names equal to new list of string. Now after this new list of string, after this what we have given the open close bracket. Now instead of open close bracket we have to specify the curly braces. If you specify the curly braces here, now you can store all the names, whatever names are there, right? So we have a Kranti, Pradeep. So these are all the student names. Kishore, Rajkumar. Now these are the declaration. I'm directly declaring it while initializing the list. While initializing the list, I'm declaring and assigning the values to this variable. While initializing it, I'm assigning the values to this particular variable. Now if I print a system.debug, the system.debug student names. Now if I execute this, execute the highlighted one. Now if you see the debug we have a s names, student names equal to, it is storing in the format of object, right? So Kranti. So here, this piece, now it is storing into the Kranti. Now let's take this Kranti, Pradeep, Kishore. Right, let's go here. Now copy. Now this Kranti will be stored inside the Kranti is stored inside this 0th index. Pradeep is stored into the first index, and then Kishore Kumar is stored into the second index. Raj Kumar is stored into the third index. Right? This is we have a only one space is allocated this. Name of the variable is one, student names. But how many values I can store here? List of values I can store it. List of values. Kranti is in the 0th index. Pradeep is in the first index. Kishore Kumar is in the second index. Raj Kumar is in the third index. So like this, the data will be stored inside the backend. Now this is the first one way of declaration of assigning the multiple values to the variable. Multiple ways to assign the values. Now the second way is type 2. Type 2. For type 2, you need to initialize this list. Now I'm initializing this list, and then I'll say here sys. I'll say student name. I'll say instead of a student name, I'll take it as a std name. Now student names dot. I'll specify here dot. I'm adding the values to the variable. Now here directly I'm assigning here the values to the variable. But here I have just initializing it without assigning the values. Now after initialization, now I wanted to assign the values to the variable. Now that means I need to take the students dot add. I'm adding the students. Now here I'm going to take the student and adding the first student, which is Kranti. Now student names, std names dot add. Whenever we are adding the values to the list, we have to use a method called add method. We have to use a method called add method. We have to always use the method add. Now here it is a Shilpa. Right. Now again one more time I'm declaring it. Student names dot add. Let's say Shravan. And similarly student names dot another Shravan. Now let me declare it duplicate values. Let me declare the duplicate values. Student names dot add. Again I'm adding here Kranti. And again I'm adding the Kranti. Right. Now let me execute this. We are not printing the debug. Let's print the debug. System.debug. Student names. Execute this. Execute the highlighted one. What is happened? Kranti, Shilpa, Shravan, Kranti. It is taking the duplicate values. It is taking the duplicate values. You can take the duplicate, it is taking the duplicate values. Or if I add a blank value, for example, I'm adding the blank. For example, in between this, adding after Shravan, I'm adding another value here, which is a blank, Now let me execute this. Now what is happened here? Kranti, it is taken. Kranti, it is taken, and then Shilpa, Shravan, after that we have a blank. After that we have a blank value. After that we have a blank value. Then we have a Shravan, Kranti. That means list will accept the duplicate values as well as the blank values. Both it will accept the values. Then later, if you want to again add it, if you wanted to add. Now later also after declaration this, now after writing the some 100 lines of code, now you wanted to add one more time. That means here the list is declared. Now the student names is storing these values. Student name is storing these values. After this, you wanted to add again one more value you wanted to add. Right? You wanted to add one more value. Now this time I'll say here student names dot add. Let's take it starting with A. Let's say Arusha. Right, so I'm adding the starting letter with A. And let me print again here. Student names. Now this is student names after adding. After add. Let me execute this. Click on the execute highlighted. Click on execute highlighted. Now if you say here, now this is the first one before adding the Arusha. Then here it is a student names it is giving Kranti, Shilpa, Shravan, right? Shravan and the Kranti between this here null values. Now Arusha is coming at the last. But as per the order, it should come in the first. As per the order, it should come in the first. Now in case if you want to display, in case if you wanted to display Arusha at the first place, then what you have to say is you need to specify the values here. Now let me show you the what are the methods which we have in the list. We will see step by step. Now list methods are the first one is the add. Add list element. You can add the list of the elements. List of the elements. Right? List of the elements. So that's what we have seen in the developer console in the anonymous window. We have just used the add. We have just used the add. By using the add, I can add the multiple student names, even null values also I can add it. Null values also I can add. Now that is the add, and then next one we have a add index. Add index. Now add index list of the elements. List of the elements. That means this is the list of the elements is, for example, this is the Arusha is the list of element. Now you wanted to place this into the specific index. You wanted to place this in the specific index. Now, I'm going to add one more time Arusha, but this Arusha has to be a first, it has to be a first place. It has to be a first place. The second one which we have add including the index. Add including the index. That means specify the index, then add the list element. Now here I am going to say Arusha 1. Arusha 1. Now let me execute this. Arusha 1 has to be displayed at the 0th index. And Arusha has to be displayed at the last index. Now this is the first time and this is the second time adding the Arusha. And then we have a Arusha 1 is a first index. We have specified the first index. Now if you specify the 0th index, it will display in the 0th index. Right, it always starts with 0th index. Click on the execute. Now duplicate. Now the first time it is a just a Kranti Shilpa Shravan blank value Shravan and then Kranti. And the next after that we have added the Arusha here, which is by default it is taken the last place. And then next time we have added the Arusha 1 at the 0th index. And by default, whatever the Arusha is there, it is coming as it is. Right? If you wanted to specify, you have to, if you want a specific value should be placed into the thumb position. For example, I wanted to add another value. For example, I wanted to add another student. Let's say another student is, let's say Aman. Aman is another student. I wanted to place it into the first index. I wanted to place it into the first index. Now let me execute this. Debug. Now it is coming as a Arusha won 0th index. First index is Aman. Now Kranti is moved to the second index. Shilpa is moved to the third index. Before Shilpa is in second index. Right now Shilpa is moved to the third index. Shravan is moved to the fourth index. Blank value is the fifth index. Shravan is the seventh index and Kranti is eighth index. Kranti is a duplicate. Still it is taken. Ninth one is a Arusha index. The last 10th index. It is a last index is the Arusha. Like this, you can add a multiple values, right? You can add a multiple values. Now you keep on adding the values. But what is the total length or how many I can add it? How many I can add it? In here, maximum the list can hold 1,000 elements. 1,000 elements. It can hold 1,000 elements. That is the maximum it can hold. Right? Not only the string, you can add the integer also. For example, let's say I wanted to add the integer. I wanted to add the integer values. Now here I'll say that list of integer, and then I have it, this is number list equal to new list of integer, new list of integer, then I can assign the directly values here 1, 2, 3. Sorry. 3, 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, and then this is the details. Now I'm going to print the system.debug. Now let's say here system.debug numbers. Now I'm going to print the numbers list. Now let me execute the values. Now if I say here debug, it is accepting the 3, 1, 2, everything, right? It is accepting all the values. Now, when you are going with the second type, you can assign only one value. You can add only one value. You cannot add multiple values. For example, here I wanted to add Shravan and also I wanted to add David. Let's say 2 members I wanted to add. Let's say 2 members I wanted to add in one step only. Now if I try to execute that, it will give me an error because what is the syntax here? Add a single element here. Add a single element. It is not asking us to enter the list of the multiple elements. It is not asking the multiple elements. It is asking only the single element. Now like that we can keep on adding the values, but only one value we should be adding within the add method. Only one value we should be adding within the add method. It accepts only the add methods. And it has only one parameter. It accepts only one parameter. If it is a 2 parameters, then it has to be first one is the index, second parameter is the name of the string or any string value. Similarly, if you want an integer, you can assign the integers also. Any primitive data type. So far we have discussed about the integer, string, double, long, decimal, right? Boolean, check Boolean, and what are the ID is there. So everything we can use, all the primitive data types can be used. All the primitive data types can be used. Now, for example, if I wanted to add a status of this, you can add the status of this also. Now let's take an assignment. Assignment is implement a logic to display list of the or to store status values as a list. Status values as a list. For example, I have a open, let's say closed, in progress, working. We have these options. Now it has to display in the correct format. Now this is how you will be adding the values to the list. Now zeroth index has to be a open. First index in progress. Second index working, and the third index post. This is the assignment. Take a notes of it. Index, you can do it only in the second type. If you want to specify the index and the value, only second type it is possible. First type it is not possible. First type you can directly assign the values. Now let's see a few more. Now next one is a size. Now if you have added, keep on adding the values. If you are here, keep on adding. But finally, what is the total values? What is the total student names? I wanted to get the total student names. If I wanted to get the total student names, now here system dot debug. Now student count, total student count. Yes, I'm going to specify what are the student names is there, student names dot size. If I select here size, what will happen? It will return what are the total number of students we have, the total number of student list it is going to print it. Now we have a total 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 including the blank value. Including the blank value, it will totally count. If it is a null value, also it will count the value. Now that's about the size. If you wanted to know the total size of the or total list of the values, including the blank values, you can use the size. And the next one is a remove index. Remove index. For example, you wanted to remove the index. You wanted to remove the specific value in specific index. Now, for example, here I have a 0, 1, 2. Now here indexes are, this is the 0 index, this is the first, second, third, fourth, and the fifth, and 7th, 6th, 7, and then 8. Right now, whatever the fifth index is there, there is a value, there is no value is there. I wanted to remove this index. I wanted to remove this index. Now later, if I wanted to remove that index, let's go to the debug. Now here I'll say here, I'm going to remove it. Now instead of the size, I'll be using the student names dot remove fifth index. Remove the fifth index. Fifth index. And once we remove the fifth index, then again I wanted to print the student names. And again I wanted to print the size of the students. How many members are there? I removed it and then I'm going to print again. Now let me execute this. Click on debug. Initially I have this, including the null values, total count is 8. Now I have removed the index. After removing the index, I could not find the null value. Right now the total count is 8. 8 values are there. So you will use in case if you wanted to remove any specific value or any specific index, specify the index name, then you can remove that particular value. You can remove that particular value. So remove the list of the elements stored in the specific index. Returns the element that was removed. Whatever the element is removed, it will return that particular value here. Right now here it is a blank, so that's a return. So usually whenever we are removing it, it will return what is the value that we are removing it. What is the value that we are removing it. Now sort. Sort is by default list is, it's not a order. Like whatever the way which I am providing it, same way it is taking. Same way it is taken here. But I wanted to use the sorting. Show me all the values in the sorting order. Show me all the values in the sorting order. Now let's close all of this. Debug, open. Now I'm going to specify sort order. Show me the values. Student names in sort order. Student names in sort order. Now student names dot, we have an option here dot sort. Dot sort. Execute this. Right, I have used the sort here. So I'm specifying the sort. Sort is used to the list of the, it is only ascending order. It is only ascending order. So this sort we will use it only for, let me store the values into the, now let's say here this is the sort order student names. Sorted and get me the names of it. Execute. You have a sorting order. Aman, Arusha 1, Kranti, Shilpa, Shravan. Right, it is ascending order, it is coming. So first I have done the sorting and then I'm printing the values. Then I'm printing the values. Directly I cannot print the sorting values. First we need to do the sort and then print the values. So that is for the sorting. It only sorts the ascending order. It does not sort the descending. Only it is possible in the ascending order. Only it is possible in the ascending order, not the descending order. The next one is a get index. The next one is get index. Now, if you wanted to get the specific index value, now you wanted to get what is there in the second index. What is there in the second index? Get second index value. Get the second index value. Students names dot get. Now you need to specify the two. You need to specify the two. Now let's execute this. Arusha 1. So if you wanted to get any value, you need to get it using the index. Using the index, we will get it. Now, if you want to check whether the list is empty or not, then we usually use it for is empty. If it is not empty, then it will return true. In case it right now here it is the I have a values here. I have a values here. Now if I say student name dot list is empty. Now if there is a values, it will return false. If there is no values, it will return true. Now say that is empty. Okay. Now let me execute this. And it says false. If there is a no value, for example, I am printing on top of we have a something initialized on top, which is a blank. Now here, this is a student names dot is empty. Now I'm clicking both of them. Now let's execute. Work. Now the first one is a empty. The second one is false. It's not empty. It's not empty. Next one which we have in clear. If you want to clear all the values inside this, if you clear all the values, everything I wanted to clear it. Now let me go ahead and clear whatever we have declared here. I wanted to clear everything. Student names dot clear. That means I wanted to remove all the data. And then I'm going to print what is the student names. Now let's say here after that I'm going to print is the student name, is this empty. Now first the values are there. It's a empty is false. That means there is a values. After that we have cleared the values. Right now the list is empty. Right now list is empty. Before it was values are there, so it was giving a false. Now I have cleared it. It is giving me the yes, it is right now empty. Right now it is empty. Right? Not only the string, if you want to go for a sObject. For example, you wanted to go for a sObject. Now, how do you do it for sObject? List of account. Now the object is account. Instead of account, let's take a contact. Now here, this is a contact list. Con list equal to new list of contact. New list of contact. I'm initializing it. I'm initializing the contact list. Now in this contact list, I wanted to add the different records I wanted to add. Right? So in order to add this entire data, inside the entire data, what I need to do, for example, I'm going to create a contact CN equal to new contact. Now on top we have created the contact record. So let's take that. Now we have a contact here. Now this is the first one. Let's say that here the contact is art's name is Venda and the phone number is contact. And then I have a second contact. Let's say Rina 1 and Veda 1. Contact 2. This is Rina 2 and Veda 2. And the number 8, I'm specifying some number. Now, initially what we did, I did here, click on a insert DML, and again insert CN, right? This is the one DML. Now, if I click on this insert CN1, this is second DML statement, and then I have an insert CN2. This is a third statement. We used to do like this, but instead of doing this, now what I can do is I can include these all contact within this contact list. That means I can add contact list dot add. I'm going to add the CN. The first contact, again the contact list dot add. I'm adding the second contact within this, and then contact list dot add. Third contact, I'm adding it CN2. Now let me print the system.debug, system.debug. Contact list. Now let's say I'm going to say ACC or contact list. Con list. Now if I try to execute this, now I'm declaring the individual and adding all the individuals inside the list of the contact. Now let me execute this. Now if I execute this, now here is the debug log. Let me copy this log. This is the contact list. Now in this contact list, I have a contact is the object within the contact. The first record is first name and then last name, phone number, ending the first contact, and then second contact, opening up the second contact. Then we have a second contact information, first name, last name, phone number, and then contact. Now we have a third contact is Arena 2, and the last name, phone number, and ending the last contact. And this is the final contact list. This is final contact list, right? Array, within that, the object is open here, the array is open, then inside that contact, and this is the object, which is nothing but a record. This is first record, this is the second record, this is the third record. But is my recording inserted right now? Is my 3 records are inserted just by executing this? Will it insert the record? Does it insert the record here?
No,
Why?
we haven't performed the DML operation.
So we have not performed the DML operation. We just adding it to, we have just initialized the contact and we have added those single contacts into the list. We have added the single contact to the this list. This is I have added, this is I have added to the list, this is I have added to the list, which is nothing but here. But right now I'm not doing any DML operations. I'm not doing any DML operation. Now, in order to do the DML operation, right now I'll say insert. Do I need to do the insert of the individual one, or do I need to directly do the list of it? Directly list of it, because all the data is added into the list. So insert contact list. Simply insert contact list. Now let me execute this logic. Execute the highlighted one. Now, if you scroll down, now the record is inserted. But if you see here, how many DML statements which I have written, DML statements are only one. Only one DML statement which I have written. How many number of DML rows are executed? 3 number of rows are executed. That means 3 records are created. I did only one DML statement, and with one DML statement, we created 3 records. 3 records. So out of 150, we have done only one DML statement. Out of 10,000, we have done 3 rows are created inside the sales. Now let me show you the contact. Inside the contact, let's go here, refresh. Rena 1, Rena 2, right? So 3 records are created. 3 records are created. Right? And then, so we have it here after that clone. There is the option is available clone. Now clone is nothing but, right now we have created the, now inside this, I have created the records. Now these are the records which I have created. Right? Let me comment, let me remove the insert. Now I have initialized a single contact and I have added to the clone. I have added to the clone. Now I have added to the contact list. These are the single initialization, and then I have added to the contact list. Now I wanted to clone this contact list and create the new contact list. That means I have a new here list of contact. Now we have a new contact list. New contact list. I have a new contact list. In this new contact list, I do not want to initialize it again. New list of contact. No, I don't want to initialize it again. Basically, what I want is whatever the existing records are there, simply I wanted to take that and clone. Simply, I wanted to take that and clone it. That means I'm cloning the previous records. I'm cloning the previous records. I'm cloning the previous record. I'm cloning the previous records. If you use this, now let me print a new contact list. Now both the records will be same. This is new contact list. Now let me execute this as well as this. Debug. Now I have a contact list and the new contact list. Both will be having the same values. Because I just cloned the existing records and added to the new list. Clone the existing record and added to the new list. Also have a deep clone. We also have a deep clone. That means deep clone is nothing but if you have a related list or anything, including the related list also you wanted to clone it. Including the related list also you wanted to clone it. In that case, we use a deep. In that case, we use a deep clone. Now here contact list 1. I'm printing this. Now right now you will see much difference because right now we do not have any related list, but we have a 2 of them are the clone and a deep clone. Deep clone is nothing but everything, including the related list. Also take everything, including related list. Also take everything. So that is called as a deep clone. The last one is a deep clone. The first one is a actual contact information. Second one is a clone, and the third one is a deep clone. Third one is deep clone. So it will take everything, whatever on the existing records, whatever is on the existing record. But one side is the deep clone. One side is the deep clone. For example, I'm changing the, let's say I'm changing the contact list. For example, I wanted to change the first record of the first name. I wanted to change the, in this list, we have a 3 records. Out of these 3 records, I wanted to change the first record first name. I wanted to change the first record of first name. Then contact list. First record where it is stored in the 0th index. It is stored in the 0th index. Dot. I'm changing the phone number. I'm changing the phone number. Let's say here I'm specifying this all 5 numbers just to identify this. Okay, all 5 numbers I'm adding the phone number. This is the change which I'm doing on to the actual contact list. I'm changing onto the contact list. I'm changing onto the contact list. Now, if I change onto the contact list, will my clone also will be affected? Will my deep clone is also affected? If I change some value onto the original contact list, what are the original contact list is there? Now this original contact list, whatever this original contact list is there, this original contact list, I'm updating the phone value for the first record. I'm updating the phone value for the first record. If I update the first record in the contact list, will my clone record, that means new list record, as well as the deep clone will also be updated? Now let's see that. Now I'm going to, let's say I'm going to print here system.debug contact list after changing the phone number. After changing the phone number, this is the contact list, and then I'm going to print clone after changing the phone number. Clone after changing the phone number. Now similarly, I'm going to print a deep clone. I'm going to print deep clone after changing the phone number. After changing the phone number. Let me execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Now, let's see here. This is the contact. Actual contact. I have updated the phone number. Before the phone number first record is 44. Now here it is 456, 456, 456. That is the first one. Now the actual contact list, I have updated the phone number. When I have updated the phone number, clone is automatically updated. Clone is automatically updated, but deep clone does not take the latest value. Does not take the latest value. It will take only whatever the existing records are there. Only it will take the existing records. Only it will take existing records. It will not clone the whatever we have modified. Deep clone does not change, does not take it. That's about the clone, and contents add all we will see tomorrow. Till this point, take a notes of it. List methods. Okay, homework. We will see rest of the things tomorrow. Write a Apex code to add the following names should allow the duplicate values. Whatever the names are there, all the names should be, it should be in the sort order. Also, you need to get the length of that means you need to find what is the size of this entire list. And the third one is you need to find out the fifth index value. So there are three assignments here. One is to write a Apex code to add a following names to the collection, and it should all allow the duplicate values. These all names should be included in the collection. And the second one is you need to make it as a sort order. And the third one is you need to find out what is the count of this. What is the count of these names? And the fourth one is you need to find out what is the fifth value which is stored in the fifth index. You need to get that value. So total 4 assignments are there. In case if you wanted to see what are the methods are available in the list, you can go to the Salesforce page, which is called a list class. List class. There is a list class. In this list class, we have a different methods. In this add index element, add all, right? The year clone contains deep clone equals get sObject. So we have all the methods which are available in the list. So this is the reference of that Salesforce. If you wanted to see what are the methods are available. If you wanted to see, you can go to this page. I have provided the page. To write a Apex code, add the following names in the collection. And Apex code following the name in the collection. So these are the names you need to add it. And once you add it, sort the collection and get the length of it. And what inside this list, whatever this 1, 2, 3, 4 are is there. This 1, 2, 3, remove it from the collection. Remove the 1, 2, 3, 4 from the collection. Assignment is chords by adding to list. So when I say multiple, let's give it here. 5 opportunity records. Create a 5 new opportunity records by adding to the list. implement code to create 2 new lead records. Take a notes of it and let me know once it is done. Next one is implement a Apex code to store all the values of homework 1 and homework 2 to the new list. Exactly same to the new list. That's all for today.